For decades, we have been conditioned to believe in a very simple equation. Strong bones require cow's milk, or, failing that, massive pills of calcium carbonate that look and taste like blackboard chalk. What the dietary supplement industry rarely tells you is that the absorption rate of this synthetic isolated calcium by our bodies is tragically low. In many cases, unabsorbed calcium supplements end up calcifying our arteries and settling in our kidneys instead of fortifying our skeleton. But what if true skeletal strength doesn't come from cattle pastures or pharmaceutical labs, but rather from the resilient weeds, thorny shrubs, and wildflowers that grow in the cracks of sidewalks all over the world? Sickle senna. We begin our journey in Asia with a plant frequently discarded as a mere weed that invades soybean fields. Visually, the sickle senna is unmistakable. It produces long, curved, and slender pods that look exactly like small green sickles hanging from the stems. When you crush its fresh leaves, a strong, intensely herbaceous aroma dominates the air. But the ancient secret of this plant lies in fire. In traditional Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine, its dried seeds are roasted until they acquire an ebony color, crackling in iron pans and releasing a dense, bitter perfume almost identical to dark roasted coffee beans. The real nutritional shock, however, is found in its leaves. When brewed as an infusion or quickly sautéed, sickle senna leaves reveal a calcium concentration that humbles any dairy product. Modern science explains why it is so effective. The calcium present in this plant is not isolated. It comes bundled with specific anthracanones and flavonoids that boost cellular metabolism. While the calcium from pharmacy pills often passes straight through your digestive tract without being absorbed, the bioactive calcium from sickle senna leaves is easily recognized by your osteoblasts, the specialized cells responsible for actively building our bone tissue. Spiny amaranth. Imagine a plant so defensive, so fiercely armored, that attempting to harvest it with bare hands will result in dozens of painful, stinging paper cuts. This is the spiny amaranth, a plant native to the Americas and deeply revered by the ancient Aztecs before it aggressively spread across the globe. Its stems are thick, tinged with a deep blood-red color, and guarded by rigid needle-like spines at the base of every single leaf. Why would anyone go through the trouble of harvesting something so hostile? Because, gram for gram, this is one of the densest calcium matrices on planet Earth. Standard cow's milk contains about 120 milligrams of calcium per 100 grams. The leaves of the spiny amaranth can deliver nearly triple that amount. However, there is a vital chemical trick here. The raw plant is rich in oxalic acid, an anti-nutrient that acts like a molecular padlock, trapping the calcium and preventing your body from utilizing it. The surprise factor is heat. By blanching the leaves for just 60 seconds in boiling water, a technique passed down through generations by native peoples and modern foragers alike, the structure of the oxalic acid breaks down and dissolves harmlessly into the water.
What remains in the soft, earthy-tasting leaves is a calcium bomb that is 100% bioavailable, ready to be assimilated into your bloodstream without causing kidney stones like low-quality synthetic supplements. Silver cock's comb. Traveling to the tropical regions of Africa and Southeast Asia, we find a plant that looks like it was plucked straight from an alien fairy tale.
The silver cock's comb produces dazzling floral plumes that rise like shimmering silver and pink flames amidst its green foliage. In the West, you would likely only see it in botanical gardens or expensive ornamental pots. But in countries like Nigeria, where it is known as soko, it is the nutritional backbone of the local diet. Its broad, succulent leaves have an almost velvety texture, and when slow cooked in heavy spiced palm oil stews, they melt in the mouth with a mild flavor reminiscent of buttery spinach. The biology behind this plant is fascinating. The calcium in the silvercock's comb is embedded within a complex matrix of soluble fibers and peptides. This means that the release of the mineral into the human digestive system is slow, steady, and sustained. Instead of causing a massive, abrupt spike of calcium in the blood, which often confuses the parathyroid glands, this plant provides a constant, nourishing drip of minerals over the course of several hours. This prolonged absorption ensures that calcium ions are effectively deposited into the bone tissue and teeth, making it a lethal weapon against early-onset osteoporosis in populations that historically do not consume dairy. Roselle. When you hear the name roselle or hibiscus, you probably think of the fleshy, ruby-red calyces used to brew that famous iced, sour and refreshing tea enjoyed worldwide. And while that tea is phenomenal for lowering blood pressure, we are ignoring the true goldmine of this plant, the young leaves. Known as gongura in India or chin baung in Myanmar, the star-shaped leaves of the roselle plant deliver a sharp, citrusy and astringent explosion when chewed raw, making your salivary glands work instantly. What scientists have discovered about the calcium in these leaves is a perfect example of how brilliantly nature packages its nutrients. Isolated calcium requires a highly acidic environment in the human stomach to be broken down and absorbed properly. Older adults who naturally produce less stomach acid as they age frequently fail to absorb traditional calcium pills. But roselle leaves come with their very own built-in biological activator. They are loaded with absurdly high levels of vitamin C and natural organic acids. When you ingest the leaf, the plant's own acidity creates the perfect enzymatic conditions for the walls of your small intestine to pull every single milligram of calcium directly into your body. It is an auto-digesting supplement created by thousands of years of biological evolution. Stinging nettle. We arrive now at one of the most feared and misunderstood plants in European folklore. Found lurking on the edges of damp forests and ancient ruins, the stinging nettle is entirely covered in trichomes, microscopic, hollow silica needles that are as fragile and sharp as spun glass. Brushing against it breaks these tips, instantly injecting a fiery cocktail of histamine, serotonin, and formic acid into your skin, causing painful welts and burning that can last for hours. Why would Roman legionaries and medieval healers risk harvesting this? Because, from the perspective of bone metabolism, the nettle is the holy grail. After being wilted in hot water, which completely destroys the venom in the needles in mere seconds, the nettle transforms into a deep green, earthy delicacy. The scientific magic here is not just the colossal volume of calcium, which effortlessly surpasses milk, but its structural partners. Human bone is not just a piece of dry chalk made of pure calcium. It is a living, flexible mesh that absolutely requires magnesium and silica, so it won't snap under pressure. The stinging nettle is one of the rare plants on the planet that contains the perfect golden ratio of calcium, highly absorbable magnesium, and bioavailable silica. Drinking a strong infusion of dried nettle or eating a broth made from its leaves is essentially drinking liquid mortar for your skeleton, fortifying the bone matrix without the need for inflammatory dairy products. Moringa. If there were a world championship for nutritional density aimed at curing chronic hunger and skeletal malnutrition, the moringa tree would win the gold medal by light years. Originating from the foothills of the Himalayas in northwestern India, moringa, sometimes called the horseradish tree, or miracle tree, is a marvel of botanical engineering. Its tiny, oval leaves grow rapidly, even in the most arid and unforgiving soils on the planet. The powder made from dried moringa leaves has a vibrant, electric green color and smells like fresh-cut hay mixed with high-grade matcha green tea. When we talk about the raw numbers, physics almost seems to break. Gram for gram, moringa leaves contain nearly 4 times more calcium than conventional cow's milk. But here is the specific detail that fascinates cellular biologists. Unlike spinach and Swiss chard, which have plenty of calcium but also incredibly high levels of that inhibiting oxalic acid we mentioned earlier, moringa has almost undetectable levels of oxalates. This completely changes the game. Without oxalates to block the gateway, the bioavailability of moringa's calcium approaches 100%. Your body doesn't need to fight or use extreme heat to unlock the mineral. It simply flows straight into the bloodstream, rebuilding tooth enamel and densifying femur bones almost by osmosis. Garden cress. Stepping back in time to the domains of the ancient Persian Empire and the bustling spice markets of the Middle East, we find the delicate red seeds and the lacy, microscopic leaves of garden cress. Do not be fooled by its fragile, almost ornamental appearance. When you chew a handful of these seeds or fresh micro-leaves, you experience a volatile, fiery explosion, as if you were chewing a mixture of strong Dijon mustard and fresh horseradish. This pungent kick at the back of your nose is caused by defensive compounds called glucosinolates. Historically, ancient Arabic physicians used macerated garden cress seed pastes to heal exposed bone fractures in fallen cavalrymen. Contemporary science validates this ancient wisdom by revealing the true invisible hero of the cress, vitamin K. You see, ingesting massive amounts of calcium, whether from milk or supplements, is entirely useless if your body doesn't know where to put it. Lost calcium wandering through the blood can harden in the coronary arteries, causing heart attacks. The abundant vitamin K and unique flavonoids present in garden cress act as the traffic cops of your cardiovascular system. They activate specific proteins, like osteocalcin, which literally grab the circulating free calcium, pull it out of the bloodstream, and force it deep into the bone matrix exactly where it belongs. It is a biological integration that lab-made pills simply cannot replicate on their own. Parsley. Finally, we look at the most underestimated garnish in the modern culinary world. Originating from the rugged hills of the Mediterranean, parsley was deeply venerated by the ancient Greeks, who didn't just eat it trivially, but braided it into thick crowns to adorn chariot racing champions and the tombs of fallen heroes. With its intensely green, feather-shaped, curly-edged leaves, it exudes a clean, crisp and penetrating aroma due to its high levels of pure chlorophyll and apiol. For centuries, the West has relegated parsley to a forgotten little green sprig on the edge of a restaurant plate. This is a colossal mistake. When consumed in large volumes, such as in the traditional Lebanese salad tabouleh, where parsley is the structural base of the entire dish rather than just a seasoning, it reveals its secret identity as a bone-building superfood. The differentiating factor of parsley is the presence of boron. Boron is a trace mineral that has been largely lost in the over-farmed soils of modern agriculture, but the deep taproot of the parsley plant manages to extract it from deep within the earth. Boron not only vastly improves the absorption of the massive amounts of calcium that parsley itself possesses, but it also extends the half-life of vitamin D and estrogen in the human body. And as any physiologist will confirm, retaining activated vitamin D and balancing hormonal levels are the master keys to preventing bones from losing their density in old age. Nature as a pharmacy. The narrative that we need to siphon minerals from the bodily fluids of other animal species or swallow synthesized rocks in plastic capsules is rapidly losing its grip. From the defensive sting of the nettle and the peppery bite of the garden cress, through the armored spines of the amaranth, all the way to the concentrated, unrivaled power of tropical moringa and roselle leaves, botany offers solutions designed in perfect harmony with our cellular evolution. The next time you look at a wild plant growing freely or an underestimated herb sitting in your kitchen, remember, there isn't just flavor there. There is a complex, millions of years old molecular engineering project, ready to transform your physical structure from the inside out.